maybe we can put this at the front just so people hear it. But here, my birthday wish is this, and if you pull this off, you'll complete my wish, and that is, I want everyone to have a good day. You have a good day, then you have given me a birthday present because I want people to be happy. That is my most important thing. You know that. That is my motivation. So if you have a good day, then I'll have a good birthday. Welcome everybody, it's time for my birthday vlog. It's my birthday. Okay, so I think we put the wing at the start of this thing, so that's happening at some point. Coming someday is the best way to put it because those things take a lot of work. Like, Jinx can probably put up how many hours that took. Like, for me alone, the voicing took maybe 2-3 hours? Say 2 hours. 1 hour? 1 hour? 1 hour? Let's say 1 hour. 2 hours, me overestimating myself. Took like an hour or so to do it. And that's just the voicing stuff with direction and everything. That was only that much lines. And Jinx spent a lot of time on that. Basically, Jinx, what she did was, it was a, I have no mouth, so I must scream. I don't remember the name of the author, but, so Jinx was dreaming of this, and she just had to make it, and she did. And then she had to have me do the voicing for it, and there it is. And it looks like we're going to just finally do it. I've been talking about wanting to do this for a while. Like, I told Miz last year at TwitchCon that I wanted to do it, and he's like, oh, that's cool. And, yeah, gonna finally do it. It's gonna take forever to do, but, I'm excited. It'll be good. It'll be good to expand voice range and just get better voices. We're still, of course, gonna do Apologists, which is gonna come up after Celeste. So that's going to be really fun. And I'm just excited. Like, this is the time to just experiment and have fun. It really is. Since we're not anything major right now, we should have a lot of fun with this. It's going to go on Jinx's channel because if we get hit with copyright strikes, obviously we don't want to kill the main channel. That is for damn sure. We do not want to kill the main channel. Holy crap, that would be very bad. Very bad indeed. Kirby Dreamcast, episode 3, that'll be coming up. I got the script written out, I just need to voice it. That'll be a lot of fun. And then the usual stuff is happening. My Hero Academia's fighting game comes out in October, I believe. And so look out for a giveaway for that. Also, Soul Calibur 6 is coming out in October. Look for a giveaway for that as well. What else there? Oh, My Hero Academia's movie comes out in select theaters for 1 week, end of September, beginning of October, and I got a ticket to go see it, so I can't wait to see that. I'll be seeing it on the 25th. That's going to be awesome. Can't wait for that. That's going to be good. And I forgot I want to mention, check out the shirt. Boba Thor. I like this shirt. It's a pretty good one. Got it at Comic-Con. Nice shirt. Like it. It's just funny. It's just a funny one. Alright, let's see here. So, it's my birthday. So, when it's your birthday, it's not a bad thing to reflect and actually be real with yourself at least once a year. At least be real a little bit. So, just thinking about it. Oh, I didn't mention real quick. What is I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream? Real quick, I should explain that one. So, some author who I can't remember his name right now, he had this crazy nightmare, and then he woke up and then he wrote the whole damn thing. Like, he wrote a short story out of it, and it got like a bunch of awards and stuff, and it's ridiculous. And all it is the story of, it's basically Terminator happens, where the AI just gets too damn smart, and AI wipes out all of humanity because it hates humanity, except for 5 people. It wipes out all of humanity except 5 people, and does horrible experiments on the 5 people left, and keeps them immortal, keeps them alive through its machinery. It just keeps keeps resurrecting them. So they can't be killed. It just keeps bringing them back. And eventually the 5 people find just go on a hunt for food because they've just been hungry forever because the machines keep them alive but doesn't feed them. And they find a place that has food, and then they get in a fight and they realize, whoa, we can hurt each other. And they end up killing everyone starts killing each other except for one character. One character gets stopped before they can get killed, and then the machine turns them into a blob that can't do anything, can't say anything, and can't be harmed. And so they have no mouth, but they must scream. That is a horrible, horrible story, but it's extremely popular. That is a horrible story. It all came from a nightmare. Of course it came from a nightmare, and now you know about this story. But actually reading it is horrifying. There's also a game, a point and click, based on this story, which is also horrifying. You can actually, though, there's good endings in that because it's a point and click. You can actually achieve good endings where you're not end up in that situation. But more than often, you're gonna end up in that situation. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's not great. Is a horrible story that's very popular. But some people love dark stuff like that. Not me. Not me at all. I just saw Twitter with where it's like dark chocolate. He's like he talks about like we're just looking into an endless abyss and all this stuff, and regular Truck's like, man, you're really hard to hang out with, man. I've discovered comedy Twitter, and it's making me so happy. Like, there's a man at a zoo, and he tries to open up his umbrella, and it squawks, and then he slaps and says, "Quiet, you." Oh, he's at the flamingo. He's at the flamingo pond when he does it. It's funny. But here's one I really like, and it is a raccoon in a trench coat shows up at a restaurant, and he goes, "1 egg, please." And the waiter's like, 1 egg. That's not normal. That's suspicious." And the raccoon goes, "2 eggs?" And the waiter goes like, "Oh, okay, the regular quantity that a human consumes. Good, good." And then the raccoon goes, "Oh, 5 eggs." And he goes, "Wait." I love that joke. It's so good. So, reflection. How old is Scarf? Because Scarf is Asian, it's hard to tell. And also, in this time period in life, it's just, there's like your mental age and your physical age. Because there are some dudes, even ladies, that are even older than me, and they're worse than teenagers. And there's some teenagers who are better because they're just mature, I guess. They're just so mature. Like, they're just people with good heads on their shoulders and people who are forever dipshits. They never grew up. And I'm not at my high school phase, not at college. I'm definitely still in my 20s, despite being 32. That's where I am right now. I think mentally is where I'm at. And that's partially because just I started so damn late. And reflecting on that, I know, like, okay, depression didn't kick in for me until college. And I wonder if that's just because I got a bigger scope of the world at that time. I wonder if that's it, because depression rates are higher in more developed countries while they're lower in less developed countries. And the reason for that is they don't got time for depression. They're busy trying to find food and survive and stuff like that. They don't have to think about the plight of the world, or they don't have time to think about existentialism. They still can, but they don't have the luxury to do that. That's why depression is just so much higher in developed worlds, because we have the luxury and time to overthink and become extremely depressed. And I know depression wasn't there in high school. I know that much. It kicked in sometime around college, and it's got to be because the scope of things just expanded for me. I think that's really what it was. And then, so I've been in and out of depression for at least 10 plus years. For sure. Jinx has been my best friend for the majority of that, but I was depressed before I met Jinx, so keep that in mind. So Jinx has had to see the worst of my depression, and so on, so she can corroborate my ins and outs of depression for dang sure. And there are tough days, there's better days, and right now with the graveyard shifts, if you sleep well, it really helps with not being depressed. But graveyard shifts destroy your ability to sleep well, so it's been a lot harder to fight depression. It really has. So it's going to be an interesting month because I'm going to be nothing but graveyards starting next week. That's because I've only done some graveyards and some swing because it splits, but now it's going to be only graveyards. And I'm going to be working the next 18 to 20 days straight. Because that's just how work shakes out sometimes. And so, not always going to be graveyard, something's going to be during the day, which is also going to wreck my sleep schedule. But the vast majority is going to be graveyard. And so, whoo, good luck to me on figuring out how I'm going to stay good on that. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try to adapt to it and everything. That's all you can do. All you can do is adapt. That's all you can do in any situation is adapt. What have I learned in 32 years of life? That is a question here. This is a good one. What have I learned? I don't know. I think partially I've learned relativism, and that is, it's all relative, man. In that, everyone's got their things that are bothering them, and to them it's the end of the world, and to other people it ain't nothing. Yeah, that's for sure. For the rich, the end of the world is all these all these things that just seem just stupid and dumb to us, and to us, all of our things just look stupid and dumb to them because they can't wrap their head around it, and it's really unfortunate. I talked about this before, where a teacher in a private school with like the really rich kids, they had them write stories about poor people, and the kids were just writing stuff like, Stella is so poor, her and her servants have to eat the lowest quality food. It's like, that's not poor. She still has servants, for God's sakes. Like, they don't have the concept of what poor means. They just don't have it. They can't comprehend having nothing or not very much. They just can't comprehend it. That's just a thing. And that's very horrible. And at the same time, you can't say it's blameless in that. Okay, at a certain age, it's blameless because they don't know any better. But when they become adults, you want to believe they can know better. But here's an interesting thing: is the rich have therapists who help them cope with the fact that they have so much and other people have so little, and to help it make it okay. And I'm like, well, how about they do some donating? That'll make it more okay. I don't know. Like, we could easily wipe out hunger itself in America pretty easily if you do the economics on it. It's very unfortunate that we just don't. The problem is that we fooled ourselves so horribly in America that anyone can just climb up from the bottom to the top because it has happened, but it's so rare. And there's also the majority of those times though were rich kids anyway. Like some of the businesses, I can't think of them off the top of my head. There's a bunch of businesses where they're like, yeah, I came here with nothing and I was able to make a business out of it, ignoring the fact they have millionaire parents who can take care of them if they fail. Ignoring that fact. Or the many, many times so many times, even with Donald Trump himself, where they come here, they do their business and everything, and they get a substantial loan from their parents, which is $100,000 or millions of dollars to make their thing happen. I'm never going to have that kind of money to try to make a business happen. A lot of people aren't going to have that kind of money to make a business happen. You can't just get a loan of $100,000 from somebody easily. You just can't get that to try to make your business. And then if you fail, you're still okay because your parents can take care of you. There are so many big businesses that were just built from just having rich parents in one way or another. It's very unfortunate how badly we've lied to ourselves about the American dream as far as hitting the top. The American dream of that you can make a living, though, like that's still possible, but it's slowly disappearing a little bit. Because you look at how economic growth has gone, how we've been making more and more money as a country, but the wage has not climbed. And that's making it very difficult to continue the American dream, especially in California. Housing in California is getting really bad. It's all very expensive, and I'm really curious if things are going to implode in California in the next decade or two because of the increase in real estate and just the inability for wages to go up because they're just not letting it happen. What happens when the workers just cannot afford to live in California anymore and finally go over to like Arizona and Nevada and so on? Like Arizona, no one wants to go to Arizona or Nevada, but Nevada's been expanding and it's getting bigger, and it will eventually become a place for people to be able to live cheaply and to work well eventually. While California might just get left behind unless they do something about their housing crisis, because it is happening. But that's the lesson is just it's relative that people's worries and concerns are relative to their upbringing, to where they are, to just so many things. And that doesn't excuse things, though. You shouldn't use that to excuse anyone's failings or weaknesses. It should just help you understand why, to help you navigate through life. Like, if a rich person has no comprehension of how the poor are, You can, of course, be like, well, that's really crappy, but what can I do with that information? What can I do with the knowledge that they just don't really understand? Do I try to educate them better on that? Or do I maybe make a charity and just try to go to the ones that actually care about that fact? Just something like that. Just what can I do with the information I have? Sometimes it's any information is useful. Sometimes who knows what you can do with the information. But that's something worth considering. Because we've done so much shaming of, and like this has definitely added to my depression for sure, the shaming of having to live at home. Like, I live with my family, which there's so much shame to that. The alternative to that is living with roommates. And there is some freedoms to that, but it's also living with roommates, and I've dealt with quite a few just not very good roommates, and so has my sister, and it's like, it's just not worth the hassle. It's not worth the hassle. Like, my cousins, they moved up to Anaheim. He went for school, my male and female. Male cousin, he went up there to go to school for jazz and stuff. And his sister, she went up there and she works for Disneyland. So I can't name too much, but they lived together for 2 years, and it ruined their relationship. They don't want to talk to each other ever again. Just, they used to be tight, and it's just when it was just the two of them on their own without their parents, they got to see how responsible they were and irresponsible they were, and just how they handled things. And they both handled things poorly in different ways, to the point that they hate each other now. And that's the thing, is like, it's tough to have roommates. It really is. And sometimes even family can be a tough roommate, and that's very unfortunate. Now, that happened to my sister. She moved to Arizona for a couple years with her best friend. And my sister was very clean and everything. It was an odd couple. And her best friend was just very dirty and very wasteful and everything. And that ended up hurting their relationship a lot after 3 years. So I live at home, and the other reason why I live at home is just because housing is, holy crap, living on my own would be ridiculous for me and for my family. My money going into my family just for us to be able to live, it really helps out. Helps out with just paying the bills, with food, just with everything. Because Scarf's got hit student loans. At the peak, about 80,000 on the student loans. At this point, I've paid off about a third of that. There's still a bit more to go, and then after that, I can finally go into trying to get a house. Because student loans, you gotta take care of that stuff. You just gotta. And yeah, that's all happening there. And that's the thing. The shame of having student loans, that's another thing. The shame of having to just owing money. There's a shame to that. And that definitely has barreled down on me as well. So I've got the shame of living at home. I've got the shame of having to pay these debts and everything. And that's pretty tough. And then I had the shame of not having a job until like last year. Like, those who know, I went to college and everything, then I became a neuroscientist, and then that went to hell. And then it was just like 3 to 4 years of nothing. I had to live at home because what else could I do? It'd be homeless or live at home. I was streaming at the time, trying to make that. I was streaming and doing YouTube at the time, trying to make that happen, and we grew pretty well. We just didn't grow as well as we could have in the YouTube world. While after a couple years, I realized I can't just be banking on this, and then I went to school and everything, and here I am now as a water plant operator. But it would have been cool if we pulled off YouTube. But there was the shame of that, the shame of just not having a job for so many years. I have military family, and my uncle, I've said this at a vlog maybe 1 or 2 years ago, my uncle's thought point is, if you're an adult and you don't pay taxes, he should be allowed to shoot you. He's a Navy guy, and he said that with complete sincerity. And my cousin, who's a Marine guy, agreed with him, and I'm just right there. I'm just right there. Because, like, Christmas time. This is Christmas. And they're talking like that. I'm like... And this... Okay, every Christmas and Thanksgiving, all that stuff, because I have a lot of family down here, they talk so much crap about certain things, and it's like, it's all about me. Whether they mean to or not, it's all about me. Like, when my cousin was dating a guy, and he was living at home, and he was trying to get work and stuff like that, and they talked so much crap about that guy. And I'm like, ha 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 real, yeah, yeah, that guy really sucks, yeah, It was not good. It was not a good time for me. It was not very, oh my god. But that's just part of my family. And it was just so uncomfortable every family gathering because my families talk a lot of shit. They talk a lot of crap. And I knew behind my back they're talking so much crap about me too, because family talks about each other as well. And it's supposed to be all in good fun and with love, but it's still it's just, you feel so much shame and it hurts so much. And that's more pressure on top. Add to that there's also the dating life. It has been 4 or 5 years since my last relationship. And so I haven't really tried to get back into it because I didn't have a job either. Like, she left me because she felt like there was no future with me. That's a very painful hit. And so, yeah, there was no future because I didn't have a job, but was looking for one. I couldn't get one. Finally, the future is here now. I have a job and everything, but that was 4 or 5 years ago now. And so I've never tried to really date that whole time because, well, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything to bring. And now looking to date, I still have the shame of, well, I live at home, so I don't really want anyone to know that. And I don't, and then just things, so much to think about, so much in the head, so much causing the depression. But I have a job and everything. I can go dating now, but I still have things that I'm worried about, things I'm ashamed of. And the thing is, at the same time, the girl could also be living at home. Because I'm using like Tinder and Bumble, and there's like a bajillion other apps. Like, some of y'all, you're still in high school or in college. You don't have to worry about any of this just yet. When you hit like 25, you got to be worried about certain things. Unless you're in a good relationship, good for you. You got a good career and all those things. Like, maybe you'll achieve the dream, and it won't be so rough. But a lot of people, it's going to be rough one way or another. And some of you will have student loans or have student loans. Some of you are going to have love trouble. Some of you will have pressures from family. Some of you have a bunch of these things, or everything I have as well. So that's why we can relate, is because we're all having trouble. It's tough for everybody. I think that's really what I'm trying to go here is, the older you get, the more you can relate to other people. Because you've gone through things, and other people have gone through things too, but they go through things at different stages in their life. Like, I can go even further back. I lost my mom when I was 13. So I can relate to anyone who has lost a parent, for sure. And so, the older you get, the more you can relate to people. What's weird is that instead of using your shared experiences to come together, people use their experiences to divide themselves from other people. Because there is a lot of curmudgeonly old people who are like, hey, I went through all this bullshit, so screw your bullshit. Like, that's very unfortunate. Or even people at my age do that crap. And it should be more to bind us than divide us. It really should. The differences and the relatabilities, we should come together more. It's frustrating that we don't. Because I can relate on so many different levels with so many different people. I can be there as someone to talk to about whatever troubles. Because you know how that's important to me. You know it's important to me to give people a place to be like comfortable and to talk and things like that. It doesn't always happen because disagreements can happen even from that, but that is what I want us to be. That's what I want everything about us to be, is letting people be comfortable to just be there and in their skin and everything. That is the big hope. The only people we don't accept are just straight up a-holes. And we've had them in the past. And it's very unfortunate when we get a-holes. Like, I don't want to create a safe space for that. There's always a limit to something. There's always an exception to something. I want people to be accepted, to feel comfortable. But if you're just an a-hole to people, I don't really want that, because that's a negative energy that is not going to help a lot of people. Also, there's plenty of places to be an a-hole together with other people. There's snark's not snark, but just being an a-hole, there is a lot of places for that. We don't need to be the place for a-holes to come together. That is 4chan. So, there's plenty of places to be an a-hole. There are. And there's not enough places to just be comfortable. So that's what we wanted to be. Back to dating. So I'm 32, and it's like, How young is too young and how old is too old? That is a question I had to ask myself because Tinder goes by like ages, and so does Bumble. I'm like, all right, let's go 10 down. So I'm dating down to 22, which that might still be too young. Maybe 25 is better, but well, let's go 22. I'm going as high as 36, 37, 38. Why am I not going 10 up? Why am I not going to 42? And the answer to that is, being real with myself here. The answer to that is, Scarf wants kids. Scarf wants kids. And at a certain age, around the 40s, men have unlimited troops. Men they got a lot of stuff down there. It just keeps getting, those factories don't stop. Women, on the other hand, unfortunately, they have a finite number. And eventually it does run out. And this is unfortunately about biology is, eventually there's no eggs left. And it's like, well, that's effed up, Scarf. So you only want to be a woman because they can have kids. And being real with myself, that's not the only reason, obviously, but that is a criteria for me. Is I want to have kids, and I can't have kids if the eggs don't exist. They're like, well, why don't you adopt if you love them so much? It's like, true. Still want to have my own kids. That's the problem. And this is something that I have to deal. This is something that's just a thing about me. We all have, there's exceptionalism. There's all these things about us that are great and not so great. And there's things where where it's just, that's not a great thing, but it's just something that sticks with us. And it's up to us when we see other people's things of this, whether we're okay with that or not. But at the end of the day, it's still their thing. For me, it is, biologically speaking, I want to pass on my genes. I really, really want to. Because, I was a biologist, so I'm so much about biology, I really want that. I want my genes passed on. Preferably 2 or 3 times. To put those odds up. My grandmother had 11 sisters. So those genes are all over the dang place. I'm not going for 11, but I want to have a couple. And it would be the most horrible tragedy if they all, went out before me, or they just never had kids, which can happen. Bloodlines can end with somebody. But, yeah. Put on the pressure. Here's another pressure here. I'm the last of my family's name, by the way. So I have to push on the name as well. That's another thing. I forgot about that. I'm the last. That's a sticking point with me. And so if on Tinder there's a lady and she's great and everything, but she has like a kid, and like, well, I don't know if she's gonna want more kids, so just left on that one. Also, if they're just if they say in their profile they don't want kids, well, obviously swipe left on that as well. That is a sticking point for me, is biology, is that I want kids. So that's a thing. And the thing is, for men, their age doesn't necessarily matter in a way. Okay. Because if you go too far with this, it gets weird. And I don't want it to be a weird thing, because I don't mean for it to be that way. For men, age doesn't matter necessarily because they can always have kids. But I don't want to be like 50 when I finally have a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I hope you know what I mean. Like, here's a story. Here's a story. Like, this is also why I want to tell this, because I want to tell this story. In high school, there was a girl and her boyfriend. What was their names? Jennifer and Johnny. Jen and John. And we're in high school. They're like 16 at the time. And Johnny just keeps saying, "Hi, Daddy," and making her embarrassed. And it's like, okay, we got to know why. What are you doing? Like, what's going on? And Johnny tells the story. And I don't know why he told the story. They broke up eventually. But I don't know why he got her to tell it, actually. And here's what happened. They're active teenagers. Very active teenagers. Jennifer's dad is 84. She's 16. Jennifer's not the youngest of her family, by the way. So she's 16, Johnny's 16, her dad's 84. The family goes out to go do some things. They gotta just take care of some stuff. So 2 teenagers, what are they gonna do? They get to banging. And they do the banging in the living room for some reason instead of in her room. Don't know why, but they decided the living room. And they're going at it. He's on top of her. They're doing stuff. And then the door opens because the dad forgot something. Like, he came back like 40 minutes later because they forgot something, so they come back and get it. And he comes in, and they just freeze in the middle of what they're doing. And they look at him. He's looking at them. And she says, "Hi, Daddy." And he hits the ground. And Johnny just can't let that go. They're like, that was her reaction. And then they, of course, they had to jump up and get dressed and see what's going on with the dad. Well, that's a thing that happened. I don't necessarily want to be 84 with a teenage daughter in high school, yeah. But holy crap, you can be 84 and have a teenage daughter in high school. At least that's what happened with her family. So you can never be too old to have kids, at least as a dude. Don't necessarily want to go that far. This is just me being real with myself. Is that too young? Should I maybe go up to 25? I'm definitely in the wrong for not being willing to date women who. But no, I'm not in the wrong on part of this. In that there are people who want kids, there are people who don't want kids. And if they come together, and that's just an argument they're going to have for years. And it's going to be painful and it's going to suck. Because you can use the example of John Cena and I forgot her name, one of the Bellas. They were together and they broke up because she wanted kids and he didn't. This is a famous couple if you're a big fan of WWE. And they've come back together. And I can't remember if he's finally budging on having kids or not. John Cena. That's a thing that's happened in recent history. Is like, that's a thing, is she was willing to give up kids and then she wasn't willing to give it up anymore. And so now it's whether or not he's willing to have kids. That's a tough one. There's just other things. Like, I was in a long distance relationship and it becomes the question of, well, who's going to move to who? Who's willing to move to who? Who's willing to move away from the family if they're a family person? Things like that. That's a tough conversation to have for long distance relationships. And we do have, we have a happy couple in our community. I don't know if they watch the vlogs. Some of y'all know who they are, and so they visit and everything. And at some point, if that goes further, they have to figure out, well, who wants to move where, or are they just going to both move to Wisconsin? I don't know. Like, there's also the thing of maybe they don't want to live in their respective place and want to go somewhere else. And you see those happy stories of someone moving to someone else's place. There's things like that. Like, long distance relationships have a lot of things that make it tough. Of course, there's the distance, not being able to hold each other every night, things like that. And then there's just the hard decisions like that as well. Where are they going to live eventually? Things like that. And those are conversations to have. Those are tough conversations to have. The TLDR is, I've learned that things are kind of relative the older you get because you gain so many experiences that you can relate to some people. But also that some people are in places where they cannot be relatable because they're just not in the same sphere as you. You can relate on some degrees, like fandoms. Like, rich to poor, there are people who love Kirby, and we can relate on that. And that's awesome, that's great. Sports teams, same thing. Favorite actors, movies, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. You can relate with someone else on that. It doesn't matter what money you have. You've all seen the same movies. You can relate on that. And that is an awesome thing. Like, that is the positive side to it. Negative side to it is, the things getting whipped into a frenzy. But that is the TLDR, is that there's things like that. And then the other part of it is just thinking about the different pressures a person has on them. And here's all of my pressures, so you know what they are. And how that can cause depression and just not feeling great. And so there's all that. Of course, on top of that is just trying to make the channel work and trying to be popular in that way. That's another pressure as well that we've been trying to fight because not a lot of people make it. And that's something to keep in mind while trying to do this stuff. And also, it should be done for fun. I've said that for how many years. And that is part of it. And the other part of it is just I wish we were more popular so we could have more fun with more people. But that can always still come with time. What am I doing with my hands? So that's the vlog. That's reflection, and then I guess there's gonna be we don't need to do another reflection. The anniversary is in October for the channel. 6 years, I think, at this point, or 7. Memory is not what it used to be. But yeah. For my birthday, what am I getting? I don't remember, but here's what Jinx got me for my birthday. Ah! Stack of Kirby's. That doesn't reflect well. There you go. Look at that. She also got me the wireless controller. Xbox controller. That helps with Monster Hunter and everything. But this is the better gift. I'm kidding. It's a good controller, but it's a good gift. This is a great gift. More Kirby's, more Kirby's. Honestly, I should just date a chick who's into Hello Kitty at this point. Just pink it up. Or My Melody. Just, yeah. Once I get the space for it, I will put these Kirby's out. Because I thought these were magnetized. They're not. They're just well balanced on each other if you want to stack them. Like, I don't want to lose a Kirby. That's the thing I got to be worried about. I don't want to lose a dang Kirby. But, yeah, more Kirby's. Oh, I know. I wanted to get myself the Nendroid Kirby, but that's... I need a couple more paychecks before I can afford that. But next year, my birthday gift for myself, I'm finally going to get that violin. Ever since I was a kid, my dream was piano or violin. Piano, I can't really bring that around all over the place. A violin I can carry around. So, next year, going to finally try to learn a violin. Here's the thing, this is why next year, not now, is a beginner violin is like $600. Yeah, that is why Scarf ain't getting it right now, because I ain't got no money for that. But next year, I got the money for that. It's not this year. So, that is going to be my birthday present to myself, is going to be the violin. I'm going to finally learn that thing at 33. And who knows, maybe I'll be good at it. That'll be fun. Well, it's going to take a lot of practice, that's for sure. So there you go, that right there is the vlog. I had fun talking, hope you have fun watching and listening, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.